Okay, welcome back. So now that we got this thing going, we need to make sure it stops. I haven't done anything to these brakes to upgrade them at all, other than some like high performance brake pads, but stock lines and everything. So what I did was I got on JP Cycles and I got these Goodridge universal brake parts. Basically you buy the length of hose you need. They're all stainless steel, braided stainless steel. And then you get whatever fittings you need and you pretty much just make your own lines. This will be the front one here. And then you pretty much just replace your lines with some upgraded braided stainless steel. And let me show you one of the main reasons I'm upgrading these brakes. So this is my rear brake, and as you can see there's some corrosion going on right here, so that's not good. If I'm going to replace that line, I may as well go ahead and replace them all. Probably about due for a brake fluid flush anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do it all. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to pop this Banjo bolt off. It is a 3/8 12 point. I'll get that off. And this is going to drain all the brake fluid out of the line. Front line draining from the caliper anyway. I'm going to go ahead and pop this cover loose. And then pump the brake a few times. That's just going to pump all the fluid out of the reservoir through the line and get all of it out of there. This is going to take a minute. Okay, all the fluid's drained. I'm gonna go ahead and get this top Banjo bolt taken out on the reservoir and go ahead and get this whole line removed. Okay, I got the stock brake line off. So we got these rubber holders right here. Basically the brake line feeds through these. Well, instead of taking this whole thing off, I just cut the old fitting off and just slid them through. The new brake lines will not fit through these, so I'm basically just going to take this whole rubber out. I'm just going to use this as basically a guide for the new line to go through, so it's not just flopping around in here. And there's another one up under the triple tree here that I'm going to do, the bottom triple tree that is. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start feeding this line through and getting it ready to bleed. And here's the new fitting on here. It's not tightened down or anything. Basically, I'm going to feed this line all the way through these little guides here, like I said. And then I'm going to tighten this on. After I tighten the Banjo bolt, I'm going to tighten this fitting on. And then that should be about it. Ready to bleed. Let's go ahead and get this fed the rest of the way through. Now on this side, all I have to do is put the new fitting on the reservoir, thread the hose on, tighten everything up, and then bleed the lines. I just now realized that I ordered the wrong size fitting. This fitting on the bottom is a 10mm Banjo bolt. This one is like a 12 or something, I don't even know. But it's way too big. Yeah, that's gonna be about it for now. Okay, so now we're doing the back line. Same process as the front. Gonna undo this Banjo bolt. You probably can't see it. Nope. So I'm gonna do this Banjo bolt, and the reservoir is right here. Take the two screws off. Let everything bleed out. This thing's not draining very well. I don't know why. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this 90-degree fitting off of the reservoir and just let it drain straight from the solenoid. Okay, so I'm back out here working on these rear brakes. Something to consider. So this is the new brake line with the 90-degree Banjo fitting, and this is the old one. The problem I run into is this old one has this fitting on it. It's a pressure switch for the rear brake lights. So obviously I didn't think about that. So the new one, this one, does not have that on it. And I can't get this apart for the life of me. And even if I did, I don't have that fitting to fit it in there. So what I did was I went on to JP Cycles and they sell a Banjo bolt that replaces the stock one with the switch inside of here. So all I have to do is run this new line with the Banjo bolt with the sensor in it, and then hook it back up to the wiring underneath the swing arm. Easy fix, complete oversight on my part. So here in a couple days I'll have all the parts I need to finish this thing, because that bolt up on the front brake reservoir is a 12mm Banjo bolt. Did not know that, so I do not have anything that'll fit that. So I had to buy a new fitting for up there, new washers, crush washers, 12mm crush washers. So I'm at a standstill with these brakes right now for a few days until everything comes in. Okay, so I got all these new brake parts in, and I want to give you a quick rundown of how things are going to be changed, because it's actually going to streamline this quite a bit and look a lot better. So let's look down here. So this is the old rear brake fitting. Here's the Banjo bolt, the 90-degree fitting, and this is the pressure switch that activates the brake light. There's a threaded section in here, and this is supposed to come out, and then you can buy this fitting that will be able to fit this onto an aftermarket brake setup. Like I said, I couldn't get this out. It's seized in there. So I did some digging and I found this. This is a replacement Banjo bolt with the pressure switch inside here with cables that run to the female end of this switch. This is the old setup. It's sat just like this. Here's the master cylinder. Here's the front of the bike this way. And the switch is up here in front of the back tire. That's the old setup, and this is what the new setup will look like. So this is going to be the new setup. Of course, there's going to be a line going here. So I'm going to cut these wires to probably about 2 inches or so, because as you can see I don't need very much. And then I'm going to take these 1/4 inch connectors and put them on, and then I'm going to heat shrink everything and clean it all up. So come along. So yeah, that looks a lot cleaner than that. Alright, then up here at the reservoirs where I had the 12mm Banjo bolt instead of the 10. So I had to get a new fitting and then 2 new washers. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but I did run the new brake line through the old hose clamps. So everything should work the same. Everything's hooked up. Time to add some fluid and then bleed this, and the front will be done. Okay, so the front brake is completely done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this back line hooked up with the new Banjo bolt switch, which is under here. I'll move the camera. But first things first, this line comes a little too close to the back tire. And up under the swing arm right here, there is I guess like a hose clamp for the old brake line. I'm gonna try to fit this in there. So yeah, right there is the holder, and this just barely does not fit in there. So I'm trying to loosen it and make it a little bit bigger. This is what I was talking about. I got a screwdriver holding it, but yeah, this is just too small, so yeah. We got that line secured. So what I'm gonna do now is tighten up this Banjo fitting on the caliper and then the one on the master cylinder. And I'm gonna put the camera up under here so you can see exactly how I'm gonna do this with the new switch and everything. Okay, so that's the new Banjo bolt with the pressure switch, and then this is the fitting, the new 90-degree fitting right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down. I think I might go a different direction with this brake line routing. Let me show you why. So here's the rear caliper and this is the line. You see how it's got this really sharp U-turn here? And it's the same thing up under here. So I may disconnect from here, pull back through this little thing that I spent so much time getting off, and then I might run it on the outside of the swing arm because it's just too close to this tire. So I think I'm gonna do that. Fuck. That looks a lot better. Far away from the tire. It's a little close to the exhaust, but this mount should keep the heat away. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add fluid and start bleeding this thing. Don't forget to top up your reservoir. Okay, now I need to wire the switch up. Now, I don't know which cables go where because they are not labeled at all. So I'm just gonna plug them in, and if they don't work, I'm gonna flip them. So these are the new connections, and then up in here, you can barely see, are the female connections. So I'm just basically gonna plug and play here. Tuck you up out of the way. Let's see if that works. I would call that a success. Alright, so that's going to do it for the brakes on this Dyna, and pretty much going to do it for the entire project, for now anyway. I do have some stuff planned further down the line, but I'm not getting into that yet. Yeah, brakes were a very much needed upgrade on this bike. Like you saw that corroded line, that's been like that for a little while. It hasn't been leaking, so I never really messed with it, but it's definitely not something you wanna risk. So yeah, I kind of figured while I'm doing all this stuff to the engine, I might as well, you know, have that little bit of extra security and insurance with the brakes. Probably a good idea. So now that I've ridden this bike a little ways, the first service is coming up. Broken the clutch with the 1 to 200 mile recommendation from Recluse. Done about 500 to 700 miles on the engine with all the new upgrades. I've basically just been riding when I can just to get this braking over. So next week's video is going to be the first service. Engine and primary fluid swap. Check out the oil filter, check out the fluids, make sure there's nothing crazy going on inside of them. I'm also going to check the spark plugs, make sure there's no fouling, they're not overly scorched, anything like that. And then just do once-overs on everything, maybe check some torque specs and make sure everything's still tight. I'm also going to be going over the entire pricing of everything I've done. It's not going to be 100% precise. I'm not going to go accounting for, you know, every little nut and bolt I bought. It's going to be mostly the major components and most of the gaskets. I've already added it up. It's a wild number compared to what it could have been. Still wasn't cheap, but I think it was pretty well a budget build. I'll give you a hint, under $3,000 for everything, including paint, engine, clutch, brakes, everything. So I'll give you that as a hint, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how much I spent and the way this whole project turned out. So as always, thanks for watching. Next week's video is going to be the last of the Dyna videos for a little while, and then we're going to be jumping into the new project intro, which again is right here. So yeah, Thursday, 6:30 next week. All is going to be revealed with the fluids. The oil doesn't lie. You'll be able to see if anything's broken real quick. As always, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, everything else. See you guys next week. I'm out.